Buddha. You know him? Have you heard about the name, the word Buddha? Who's he? Yes, you have heard. The idea about who's the Buddha?
Those at home, we have Lucy here for the first time, and Carmen is here, and Hung is here, Jonathan, myself, Jan, and Kun Supat Song. Yeah. So Ajahn is just asking Lucy some questions.
To me, Buddha is someone like Jesus.
Any teacher? Like any teacher?
Yeah.
Nothing more.
John's question is, are all teachers the same?
No.
Before he became enlightened, he didn't have the name Buddha. His name was Siddhartha. But after enlightenment, the word Buddha is not just any ordinary name, because it's the name for the one who experienced the truth. So very great virtue. What is there? He realized the truth. That's why as soon as he had realized the truth and became Buddha, he said, all Dhammas are so very subtle. Because it takes how long for anyone to begin to understand the truth which is there right now, but without hearing, considering, and be true to the truth, it's impossible to understand the nature of what is there right now at all. That's why we learn the word that he taught, just one word, that it's not easy, it's so subtle, because it's there right now, but no one knows without hearing, considering, and understanding how much ignorance, not understanding that which is now appearing. It is now appearing, no understanding of it, until learning the word of the teachings about what is there. So we can talk about anything right now which is there to understand the truth of it. For example, right now, and I think that the only way to understand the teachings is by one's own consideration. Not just listen to the other and believe, but each word has to be considered again and again and again until the understanding develops more and more, deeper and deeper. That's why what is there now? Very simple. But the one who hasn't heard about the teachings at all cannot answer, for sure. Is that right? See?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Is the truth the same as end of suffering?
The same as?
End of suffering. End of suffering.
What is suffering? I don't understand. That's why we learn to understand the truth one word at a time. So when you use the word suffering, what is it? which is suffering.
Like feeling unhappy.
It's a kind of feeling, right? If it hasn't arisen at all, can it be now, no matter it's unpleasant or pleasant or indifferent feeling? That's why even just one word feeling, what is the nature of it? It seems like we know about suffering and feeling and sickness, illness, and whatever we think we know about, but in truth, just one reality right now is not known as it is. And Buddha, the enlightened one, had realized the truth, and he taught for 45 years about the reality, which it takes time for the listeners to consider again and again, life to life, on, because the teachings of the Buddha is so very subtle. It takes time to understand the difference between stage by stage of understanding. This is only intellectual understanding, not understanding the moment when it's there, arising and falling away yet. And the understanding is not the I who try to experience that, because the truth is that all dhammas are anatta, opposite of atta. Atta is something. This is atta, and this is atta, and even this is atta, and this is atta, something. But in truth, it's not like that at all, because it's conditioned to arise. As soon as it has risen by conditions, it falls away instantly. We think about one moment. What about the split seconds moment? And one split second moment can be divided into 16 moments or more. See, more subtle, quicker than anyone can think. That it seems like seeing is there for some time, but in truth, many moments of seeing, and there are other reality tools. So I think that there has to be firm confidence of the truth from the very beginning, to let go the idea of atta or something accumulated years and years and years ago, and even now after seeing is something again, hearing something again, ignorance and attachment is there. That's why learn to understand one word, Dhamma. What is real is real. And the meaning of reality is Dhamma. Nobody can change it. Hardness cannot be sweet at all. And feeling cannot be remembering at all. Each one is there by conditions. Without condition, nothing can arise at all. For example, seeing right now, without the eye base, the very special rupa, that only that which is seen now can impinge on it. Sound cannot impinge on it. It's special rupa for that which now seen has impinged on it. Otherwise, there will never be seeing. So seeing is not that which is seen. We learn little by little to understand who's the Buddha. Otherwise, there can never be the understanding of the truth of what is there right now. For example, that which is seen is there right now. And usually it's something seen and I see, but in truth, just a moment of that which arises to experience, which we use the word seeing, and that which is seen all there. In split second, falls away. In split second, instantly. Is that true? Not just to believe. Consider. Because at moment of seeing, there must be only that which impinges on the eyes. Is it so tiny? Or everyone hears at once? Impinge on the eye base? Impossible. That's why we don't know at all. We live in the world of nimitta, image of what taken for people and things and buildings and streets and on, the sun, the moon and on. Without seeing, without any moment of experiencing, can there be anything impossible? That's why we learn about Dhamma, different kinds of Dhamma. It's conditioned to arise only once and never arise again in samsara. Is that true? Just a moment ago, the sound form never arise to be heard again. So life is so very momentarily seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, sleeping, waking, seeing again, on and on, non-stop, as long as there are conditions for its arising. And this can be realized. That's why the Ariya Satya, the Four Noble Truth, there must be 3 rounds of understanding the truth. The first round is this moment. Begin to understand what is there as it really is. In order to realize just one reality as it is, to realize the nature of it arising and falling away. But no one can do. It's only understanding, developing little by little. Dhammadra, never forget about the truth. Firm confidence of the truth that nobody can change the way it is. But right understanding develop at moment of hearing, considering, understanding, little by little. For example, right now, there is seeing, see. If it hasn't arisen, it cannot be now. Seeing. And the seeing is not that which is seeing. That's the word. One word, the word of sight, which were object. Is that true? No one can force you at all. Just consider the word seeing now. No one can make it arise. And it's gone at moment of hearing. They cannot arise together in one moment at all. Because seeing cannot hear, and hearing cannot see. They are all gone, never to return in samsara. Is that the teaching of the enlightened one? And is this what he enlightened? And what is there today from moment to moment? Not just only seeing. Yeah, is it real?
Yes.
Is it Dhamma?
Yes.
It's what kind of Dhamma? Feeling?
Like a direct experience Dhamma.
That's why we learn to understand the reality which arises to experience the object. No shape, no form. And the reality which is conditioned to arise to be hard, sweet, sound, smell, and so on. That which cannot experience, the Buddha used the word rupa, Dhamma. This is the beginning. Further on, more details. And the reality which arises and experiences the object is nama. And nama is not just one reality. Whatever experience that is nama, but there are many different kinds of nama. Happy, happiness, unhappiness. What is real?
Both are real?
Both, see, different ones. But it's feeling. The reality which feels towards the object, which is citta, the chief of experiencing. In Thai we use the word citta, and we heard a lot, but not enough understanding of the meaning of citta. And citta experiences the object by different manners, different aspects. That's why there are many words for citta. For example, vinyana, mana, or mano, for example. It refers just one reality, which is the chief of experiencing the object. And what is that which is the chief? No meaning. Or what's the meaning of the chief? It means that at that moment of experiencing an object, there are also other realities which arise together and experience the same object, but not as the chief. For example, feeling arises just to feel. It cannot remember or other function at all. And it cannot perform the function of the chief which just rise and experience the object. Very clear, but not understanding. Just understand the difference of the object, the fake jewelry or the real one. Even the taste, it can be known. Even one close one's eyes, the citta experiences the different taste one at a time. So it knows about different realities, different tastes. That's why Buddha taught about the chief is the characteristic of citta, which arises just to experience the true nature of the object. But there are also other mental realities arises together, experience the same object together, fall away together, different function. So at moment of seeing, who knows, there are other mental reality arising together if Buddha didn't enlighten the truth. 7 kinds of the mental factor which we use the term, or the Buddha used the word cetasika, the reality which experience the object but not as the chief, but as its quality, to feel or to remember. For example, is this the teaching of the Buddha? What for? To let go of ignorance, attachment, taking it for something until it's the only one. Can it be something?
And gradually we learn the understanding about the truth about Dhamma now, what can be known now, is actually the greatest treasure. We think about treasure as wealth or a good job or good family or finding a nice husband, but actually the greatest treasure is understanding the truth of life at this moment. And you mentioned about the end of suffering. So we learn that whatever is Dhamma, whatever is a conditioned Dhamma, arises and falls away. Therefore, it is dukkha, unsatisfactory. So not just unpleasant mental feeling or unpleasant bodily feeling, unhappiness, but what about happiness now? What about kindness now? What about understanding now? They also fall away instantly. So they are also dukkha. There's clinging all the time to that which has gone already. So whatever arises and falls away is dukkha. And the only end of dukkha is through the complete eradication of ignorance and clinging. So this is why the only path is the development of right understanding of the truth, to gradually let go of ignorance little by little. So this is why it always has to come back to this moment.
And people appreciate that Buddha's teaching is about understanding the present moment. But what they don't appreciate is that what that means. they think it means something nebulous like being in the present moment, not thinking about the past or the future. But that's not what understanding the present moment means. Because thinking about the past or the future is just thinking. And that reality is the same whether one is thinking about the present, the past, or the future, the reality of thinking. And so people are surprised when they hear Ajahn talking about seeing and visible object when hearing and sound, because for them they've never heard that this is what the Buddha taught about. All they've heard is the Buddha taught a meditation practice, which won't be found in the suttas. What will be found in the suttas is different ways of explaining the conditioned realities that comprise the present moment and that are to be object of understanding. And in some suttas they are specifically mentioned, seeing and visible object, hearing and sound. And in fact, whenever the Buddha, usually when the Buddha itemizes these objects, he starts with seeing and visible object, hearing and sound, and it goes through the sense doors and then the mind door, moments of consciousness. So this is all directly from the suttas. It's not someone's idea about the Buddha's teaching. And it's not someone's idea of a different way of approaching the Buddha's teaching. It is how the Buddha taught to his listeners. Although mostly, of course, his listeners at that time were people who were ready for enlightenment, because people who are ready for enlightenment tend to get reborn at the time of a Buddha. So we come back to the present moment, time, and again, the other comment to make at this point is that when we talk about, for example, seeing as a reality and visible object as a reality, what it means is it has the same characteristic, whether it's the seeing now, here and now, or the seeing at a different time and place. Because the process of seeing and hearing was the same in the time of the Buddha as it is now. It doesn't change. And it's the same for every being. The visible object can change, but the characteristic of that reality, visible object, doesn't change, just as we can talk about hearing and sound. Sound as such has the same characteristic, whether it's sound of music, sound of voice, sound of mechanical implement. What changes is the shape and form, the detail. And of course, what changes is the story that we make about the sound. But these are all realities, and it's important to appreciate that the nature of realities is the same in every circumstance for every individual. And that is why it's not necessary to go anywhere or do anything in order to understand these conditioned realities that comprise the present moment. They are there already to be understood without any further preparation.
And on the way here, you mentioned about Visuddhimagga. What we're talking about is the path, the Magga, to purification. So without understanding, there cannot be any Visuddhi. So it has to begin with the understanding about Dhamma now, Dhamma's now, what is true now. And the reason why we've been stressing there are two kinds of realities, those that experience an object and those that cannot experience anything. Seeing experiences an object. What is seen doesn't experience anything. It's only by understanding about these different realities that there can gradually be the letting go of the idea that I experience and something is experienced. So, Visuddhi means getting closer and closer to the truth, the gradual purification through the elimination of wrong understanding.
Shall we give Lucy a break and come? You want to wait? No, just go ahead.
So, Carmen, would you like to start with your first topic or question?
Oh, it does? Yeah. Yeah. My first question is about, you tell us thinking, feeling, hearing, smelling, tasting. What do you mean with that? Because do you mean, if we go back to feel or seeing, let's say seeing, do you mean, or we are aware of seeing, but is it the process of seeing? Is it the actual moment of seeing in the process of seeing? Is it the conventional seeing? What do you mean with that?
So why do we talk about it? What for?
To see to realize what is happening in the moment.
To understand the truth
In the
from the
moment.
very beginning.
Yeah.
Because in order to realize the truth, it has to be right understanding, firmer and firmer, letting go ignorance and attachment and wrong understanding, little by little. Because now even there is the idea that what is there now has been conditioned to arise, so it's now appearing. But what appears, see, before we talk about that, the basic understanding of the truth is that what is it? What is seen? See, there is seeing. And in truth, no one at all. Because what can be seen is only one reality.
Yeah, but basically,
And not yet, just seeing only. And what is that which sees? Does it appear to be known? Never at all. Because usually we just think about that which is seen all day, not the reality which sees it from birth, each moment, different objects because of different conditions. So now the world is moment of seeing, is that right? At that very moment of seeing, the world is there. No sight, and no sound, no smell, no one at all. Imagine only one reality appear to right understanding that it's only that which is seen. And the reality which sees, if there's not yet enough considering about the nature of it, it's there, unknown, even right now. Just heard about it. It's there, no shape, no form, just arise to experience the object. But the object is seen. What about that which experiences it? No attention, no thought, no interest at all. So how can there be moment of begin to develop the understanding of it as Cittanupassana Satipatthana when there's no understanding of it at all? That's why we learn to understand what is there in a moment to condition the other moment to be understood as it's just the same. The reality arises, experience the object in a moment, all the time. Just consider whether it's true or not and whether it can be realized, because Buddha has realized. So he thought about the way, the 3 rounds of the Four Noble Truths. And the first round is understanding the truth of what is there from moment to moment, in a moment. Moment of seeing, it's not moment of hearing, it's not moment of thinking. And what are there? Not only seeing, there must be jittas before seeing, after seeing, unknown. So what appears as seeing is only the nimitta of seeing, while there are citta before seeing and after seeing unknown, because they do not show up at all. So now, what's the question? When we have such basic understanding, foundation of Dhamma.
So, if I understand correctly, I'm not sure. When you refer to seeing, tasting.
Right now,
You refer to you want us to be aware of the consciousness instead of the object.
if one says, be aware, and no understanding of what is awareness, can there be awareness which is aware? No one there at all. Without that characteristic of a reality, which has its quality as being aware, awareness, what will be aware? Seeing cannot be aware. Feeling cannot be aware. So if there's no understanding of the reality which is awareness, how can it arise? And how can anyone think that one can make it arise? Because no understanding of it. So right now, at moment of seeing, is there awareness? We learn about one moment at a time, and now it's the moment of seeing. Is awareness there, arising together with seeing? That's what Buddha taught in order to let go one's own idea, because it's not true. That's why Buddha taught about the citta and the cetasikas and the rupa, to let go, clinging to what is there as I or mine or something.
But I think I do not get it. Of course, I don't have it, but
We are learning to understand the truth, right, of one reality at a time.
yeah.
If there is awareness or understanding of seeing, then seeing is the object. So it's just of that reality that sees, not of any process, not of the visible object, just the seeing itself. If there is awareness and understanding of what is seen, the visible object, it's not of seeing, it's not of anything else, because only one object
at a time.
At a time, yes. And it's not trying to make us be aware of a reality or trying to focus on a reality, because that is all the story of I.
Yeah.
So it's just the natural development from hearing and considering what seeing is now, what is seen now, what is hearing now, what is sound now, that gradually awareness and understanding develops naturally, and it just depends on conditions. What is the object of awareness, not by I trying or wishing or thinking it should be this or that.
And what is awareness? If we don't know, how can there be awareness? So what is awareness?
Yes, for sure.
Is it there now?
Oh, you mean, sorry, I
Awareness,
thought you,
yeah.
consciousness is there now, but awareness coming and going, hopefully.
I don't know what comes and what goes.
I don't mean either. Hopefully.
Until I know what is awareness, it's not seeing, it's not feeling, it's not memory. What is it? See, it's real. For example, ignorance. Is it real? Is it there now?
Probably.
So, and where's awareness?
Where it is?
Does it arise?
Hopefully, sometimes.
Thinking or understanding the characteristic which is aware.
which is aware?
The understanding of a reality which arises and is aware of a reality different from Vitakka and other Cetasika.
I don't understand the
That's why we learn to understand that it's not just one's own thought, but it has to understand what Buddha taught about it. Otherwise, it's someone's teaching, not the Buddha's teaching.
So Ajahn is explaining that before there can be awareness and understanding of different realities, there has to be, one has to have heard about the different realities and know what potentially can be the object of the awareness and understanding. And one also has to have heard what awareness is and understanding is, because otherwise it's just our idea of awareness and understanding. And so awareness is another reality. It has a specific characteristic. And understanding is another reality which has a particular characteristic. So until these have been heard about and considered at a conventional, at a theoretical level, shall we say, it's not possible for there to be actual awareness and understanding of different realities. So at the end, Ajahn was talking about the understanding of awareness, which is aware of a reality.
So, John, what you are saying is that, what you're trying to get across to Carmen is that when Achan talks about seeing, and it reminds us about seeing and feeling and all these nama dhammas that arise in a day, it's not that she's, expecting there to be any awareness. It's just, it starts with intellectual understanding, which is necessary. So without this intellectual understanding, then we are going to, have all kinds of wrong understanding about what is going on. So it's not like she's talking about direct awareness. She's just talking about, reminding us about the reality there and then, in the same way as when she talks about when at the moment of seeing, there has to be seeing, visible object, and the eye. It's not that the eye can ever be the object of direct understanding, but it's good to understand that it's there. I mean, we have to understand about all realities intellectually.
Yes, thanks, Akin.
For example, awareness, because Ajahn asked you what awareness is. It's a bit like when you mention meditation, what does it mean? Usually when people talk about awareness, they have ideas of being aware of moving the hand, or being aware of walking, or being aware of drinking a cup of tea. But this has nothing to do with sati. Mm-hmm. So we're looking specifically to understand what sati is. Because when we're talking about awareness of a reality, it has to be that reality itself which is aware of the characteristic of a Dhamma, not awareness of a moving hand, but awareness of hardness or seeing or visible object specifically. And it can only be known through the development of understanding. So we're talking about the awareness that arises with understanding that is aware of a Dhamma in the beginning, through understanding what Dhamma is, what sati is, what understanding is, until the understanding develops deeper and deeper to directly understand the reality, the seeing, what is seen now, the hardness, and so on.
But if we talk about pati-pati,
yes,
maybe the same question, but in relation now to pati-pati, is the seeing. If we talk about pati-pati in the stop yelling. I'm trying so hard.
Let's talk about one word at a time to understand when we are talking about the same reality. There are 3 rounds of the teachings of the Buddha about the Four Noble Truths, right?
I don't know them.
Yeah, because it's so very subtle, very deep, it cannot be understood instantly. For example, seeing is simple right now, seeing, but no understanding of the truth of what is there at all, right?
Yeah, and I get confused with when we use the word seeing, do we mean it in a conventional way
No.
or that really small moment in a thought
The
process?
truth of seeing, the nature of seeing, what Buddha taught about seeing, not what I think about seeing.
Your reality that arises for a moment sees what is visible. The citta sees what is visible, gone instantly.
When we
Just
talk
for
about
one moment, yes.
pati pati, we see that specific moment.
So when
No, not yet.
Ajahn is talking about, when she is talking about the 3 rounds, so the first round refers to the firm intellectual understanding, the pariyatti understanding about the nature of dhammas. And without that firm intellectual understanding, there cannot be the second round, which is the direct understanding, the patipati. So that's why she's saying not yet, because we're just talking about the pariyatti, the intellectual understanding, so that it's firm, no doubt that these dhammas are all anatta, no one there, no thing there. So there has to be the firm understanding of what is dhamma and what is just idea or concept.
And Carmen, in case you're
And
coming
sorry,
from,
I'll just
from that,
want to, hello, just a minute. Sorry again. When we're talking about seeing a visible object as object of understanding, we're talking about what can be the object. When we talk about patipati, we're talking about the particular stage or level of understanding, right? So first of all, it's necessary, before we can talk about patipati, which is direct understanding, there has to be appreciation of what can be the object. And your question was, what do we mean when we say that seeing is the object, or can be the object of awareness and understanding? So just to answer that, think about hearing and sound, right? Hearing is the consciousness that experiences sound. So we don't have to think about what part of the sense door process is that. It's there, real, to be experienced. We may not know anything about the jittas, the moments of consciousness that precede it or that arise in the sense door process. But that moment of hearing sound can be known as it is, different from the moments of thinking about sound that follow afterwards. So it's what can be, what is the consciousness that experiences the object that is being referred to.
Yeah, it just confuses me a bit because we're saying seeing, but further words we saying there's never it's nimitta, always nimitta. You understand what I mean? Not really.
Well, we don't have to introduce nimitta into the conversation unless you specifically want to discuss it. But if we haven't understood seeing an invisible object, then we can't really talk about nimitta of seeing an invisible object.
I think differently because I think because I'm still looking for what we are, but maybe let it go.
What you are looking for is there to be experienced if the conditions are appropriate.
Yes, so I wait.
Well, But that's why we are discussing, because just waiting isn't going to make anything happen. Nothing can make anything happen actually, but the explanation of the way things are has to be heard and considered. What else is there that could be real at the present moment and be directly known?
I think I'm confused.
So if there is awareness of the characteristic of seeing now, just the reality, the citta, which sees, it doesn't hear, it doesn't touch, it just sees what is visible and then is gone. At the moment of being aware or understanding the characteristic of seeing, there's no thought about the word seeing, there's no thought about nimitta, it's just the reality itself which is known. Actually, as we've heard so many times, it has to be known by way of nimitta, but now we're just talking about understanding the characteristic of seeing. And actually it is the characteristic of seeing, not one moment of seeing, but the many, many seeings that arise and fall away, and the characteristic of seeing is known by nimitta. But we don't have to think about how short or one dot, or it's just the characteristic of that reality which sees what is visible and then gone. And the point of stressing it is to really appreciate it's not I or anyone who has any experience ever. There are just moments of seeing and hearing and thinking and so on arising and falling away. No one who experiences, no one who does anything, no one who can meditate, no one who can sit or stand or do anything, just different dhammas arising and falling away, those that experience the object and those that cannot experience anything. So it's all for the letting go of the idea of I or something.
And is your confusion about the idea of seeing invisible object, or is your confusion exasperation at not being able to directly experience it?
The first.
Okay. The idea of seeing invisible object.
Just when we always go back to one word, I go back to one word is seeing. And as Ajahn tells us all to go back to just a moment, seeing, hearing, smelling. So then I am considering what is seeing, and there arises the confusion. Is it the conventional thing? Is it that we are aware of seeing the conscious instead of the object, the sensible object?
We don't talk about awareness yet, right?
Oh, awareness, consciousness, I mean. Sorry.
So consciousness is not the word, right?
It's not the word?
It's not just the word.
No.
It is real as a reality which that word represents. That particular reality is only that which is conditioned to arise, to experience the object clearly. But it doesn't mean understanding. Just clearly experience the object, to know the shade of the color, even it's so very, very slight. And that is citta. That's why Buddha taught about that in life there are not just only that which experience the object, there is also feeling, attachment, aversion, and other reality as awareness too. So if there's no understanding of anyone at all, we mix them all up. Be aware, see, no understanding. So each one is aware in their own thought or idea, but in truth, it's not at all. Because awareness has to be wholesome reality, see. But at moment of no understanding at all, just aware, is that awareness? That's why we learn to understand. each different reality as citta cannot be cetasika because it has its quality to arise to experience the object clearly, only that. But there must be the other reality arising together as paccaya, sahachata paccaya. They arise together depending on each other. Experience the same object, fall away at the same time, but different function, different quality to be known. That citta is not the feeling, the reality which feels. Even feeling share the same object as citta at that very moment, but it does not perform the function of citta because it has its quality to feel about that object in different feeling, or pleasant or unpleasant. That's why we learn to understand that this is not awareness. So it's not just the word awareness. For everyone, seems it can be known already, but in truth, not the word of the Buddha, the enlightened one, to understand each moment, each reality. They're so very subtle. For example, vitaka, phassa, manasikara. See, in a moment, different reality. That's why we learn awareness is not unwholesome cetasika. It has to be wholesome cetasika, and we have to learn more what is meant by wholesome. For example, saddha is wholesome. Who knows? Because one takes saddha for belief, but in truth it's not at all. Saddha is wholesome cetasika. It's not samadhi, right understanding, and it's not sati. It's not hiri. It's not ottappa. That's why we learn a little more to understand the moment when sati is there by conditions. Without the first round of understanding the Four Noble Truth, it's impossible to be pati because in Pali, pati is particular, and pati is to attain or to reach the truth, which is there now. Nothing to reach it with understanding at all, just with attachment or aversion. That's why we learn to understand each different reality, to have clear understanding, not take akusala to be kusala. For example, be aware is akusala, no understanding. And if someone think that, oh, I'm be aware because I'm told to be aware of this and that, but no understanding, how can it be wholesome? And it's not awareness at all. That's why before anything, to think in one's own idea about the word of the Buddha, it has to understand the virtues of the Buddha. Who's the Buddha? Because what we are hearing now, it hasn't been heard before. About the reality which arises and experiences the object, and the reality which arises but it cannot experience anything, hardness and so on. So what we take for I or someone or something is that which is hardness, the reality which cannot experience the object, or the reality which experiences the object, no matter what world, what life. There are two different kinds of categories of reality. One arises, experiences the object. Whenever it arises, it experiences the object. And the other one, it is conditioned to arise, not to experience, but to be hard or soft, sound or something. So life, living being, is that which experiences the object. Unknown object, or it's known now as seeing. Before seeing, being fast asleep, no seeing. But there must be the reality, citta, the chief of experiencing, the unknown object, because it's not the object of this world. What is seen now is the object of this world. But at moment of sleeping, no doorway to experience visible object because there's no seeing at moment of being fast asleep. Different kinds of citta. This is not awareness yet until there is understanding at moment of listening. But just listen without any understanding, it's not no awareness at all. Because that moment is not kusala. That's why we learn more and more to understand how subtle that which arises and falls away even right now in split seconds. The breaking world, not as big as the sun, the moon, the sky, the ocean, the countries at all. Just so tiny. The big world is so very tiny. At moment of seeing, the world of seeing is there, the object which is seen. And this is the enlightenment of the Buddha. Learn to understand the great truth of what he realized. So very ultimate truth. Nobody can change. That's why there can be the understanding of what is there at moment of listening to the Buddha, each word about what is there before it's there, from nothing and then something and then nothing, completely, absolutely, ultimately. Understanding what's meant by anatta, no thing at all, no one at all, because it's there, arising and falling away. And this is the only way, the fourth of the Four Noble Truths, Magga. Understanding is Sammaditthi, right understanding of the truth at level of listening, intellectual understanding, which will develop, grow up little by little at moment when it's there, Dhammadara, not forget about the truth, no matter when, listening today, here, or other place, other time. The truth is the truth, never change at all. And right understanding can understand the level of understanding. It's not now realizing the arising and falling away of any reality, because not enough understanding of the truth of that which is different. For example, cetana, intention, or the will, is not awareness at all. And when there is the understanding of the truth of Dhamma, it's now. Do we have to go somewhere to understand it, or to try so hard? Not the understanding and awareness, but I. That's why it's not the teachings of the Buddha. So there are two kinds of understanding. Diddhi, Sammaditthi, right understanding, and wrong understanding. And Buddha taught about different levels of all kinds of Dhamma. For example, Anusaya, Asaya, and Anusaya. And the Asava, see, it's not known right now after seeing. After the process of seeing, or in the process of seeing, Javana, no understanding of what is there, until it's strong enough to be known as Kilesa or Nivarana. Nivarana, the hindrance, yeah? Daily life.
Just for Lucy, Ajahn is talking about different levels of defilements, different levels of akusala. So the anusayas are the tendencies which are not arising. Without the tendency for clinging, no clinging could arise. But when it's not actually arising, it's carried from one citta to the next, but it's not arising. And the asavas are the very subtle defilements, the subtle ignorance, the subtle attachment, the subtle wrong view, which arises so quickly, like after seeing or hearing, but it's unknown. So even now, there is clinging, there is ignorance arising again and again, but it's unknown. until it is more obvious, more apparent. So when it's stronger, then there is some idea of clinging being there, but the more subtle clinging is there without it being known. And on your other topic, Carmen, about jhana, which you wanted to bring up, so it's a little bit like we have been discussing. People just talk about jhana or practicing jhana or attaining jhana, but usually there's no understanding of what jhana is. There's no understanding of what calmness or tranquility is. There's no understanding that concentration now can be kusala or akusala, wholesome or unwholesome, because there is concentration at every moment arising with every citta. But now, is it kusala or akusala? Without knowing when it's kusala, when it's akusala, how can the kusala samadhi be developed? So there must be understanding from the beginning to understand what is kusala, what is akusala, what is calmness. Like when one's sitting quietly with one's eyes closed, it's easy to think it's calm. But what about the clinging? When there's clinging there, no calmness at all. And when people think they have jhana experiences, usually no understanding. But is there anything you would like to bring up on this topic?
Just to go for safe, can you just elaborate a bit more about the jhanas? Yeah, because the first question probably be, what is it? And jhana is a wholesome mental state.
Really?
Not?
Because what are jhanas, the cetasikas, vitakka, vichara, and so on. That's why we have to learn about the truth of realities. The other reality cannot be that which calm down the akusala, see. But it's not just the word. There must be the understanding of the difference between level of calmness. At any moment of kusala, what is calm? Acetasika. What is it? Kaya pasati, citta pasati. So we don't have to learn about the word, but there must be the reality which is calm, opposite of nivarana, uddhacca, and so on. And how can one know whether it's calm? See, without understanding, we might take just a moment of concentrate on an object that is calm, but in truth it's not. Because there must be wrong understanding. Without understanding of what condition it, and at moment of any kind, any level of wholesomeness, there must be calm. To calm down, to clean up the many cetasikas, wholesome cetasika arising together, to condition a moment of kusala. Even it's not yet the degree of jhana yet. That's why we have to understand in general what is jhana. Many people would like to develop jhana. Why?
Greed.
Why does one want to attain jhana?
Because of greed attachment.
To what?
To calmness, to peace, to...
No attachment to calmness. No attachment to calmness at that moment, wanting to be calm. Yes. No attachment or attachment.
She said attachment to calmness.
Really? So no idea to do anything to be calm in order to let go attachment. And in truth, what one takes for calmness is not calm at all. Without understanding, it cannot be that level of wholesome. Because in daily life, there can be moments of wholesomeness, like keeping away things and so on. But calmness, it has to depend on understanding, seeing the danger of being attached to sensuous object whole day, whole life, and understanding the way to be calm too. It has to be understanding a little more, a little more, a little more, not without understanding at all.
And one aspect Carmen would like to hear about, I'm sure, is concentration, because most people associate jhana with concentration. So,
What Cetasika is concentration, it's a reality, so there are Chitta, the absolute reality, Chitta, Cetasika, and Rupa. So when we talk about any word, any characteristic, we have to understand the nature of it as what kind of reality, whether it is Chitta or Akusala Cetasika or Kusala Cetasika or Apayakata Cetasika. See, no one knows without hearing, listening to the truth of the Buddha's teaching.
So what is the Cetasika, which is concentration? Yep, Ekagata. And Ekagata, is it kusala or akusala? It could be kusala, akusala, vipaka, or kiriya, because it arises with every citta. And most of the day, like when the asavas, the subtle defilements are arising, what kind of concentration? Unwholesome. So most of the time, it's unwholesome, no matter whether we're sitting quietly or walking on the beach or opening the Dhamma book. Usually the concentration, the ekagata, is akusala. So usually when people just would like to have more and more concentration, or when there seems to be more and more concentration, the concentration that is apparent usually is akusala concentration, like when one's cooking so carefully or studying one's book and writing in detail. Concentration, that is strong concentration. Opening the bank vault, strong concentration, but akusala concentration most of the time. Without understanding, akusala ekagata will always be taken for kusala.
May I say something just little bit? Yeah. I want to tell Carmen about the nature of awareness, like what Sarah just said, right? Just now only. Awareness is the awareness in a good way. So when any kusala chitta arise, right? It's either aware in a dana or sila or panya. When like conventionally when people think, oh, we're crossing the road or we're cooking, or people say, I know what I'm doing, that seems what people may think, that is awareness of something, but that is not the nature of awareness. Awareness arises with every chitta, that every kusala chitta that aware in a good way. So the awareness has to be aware in some way, some good way, either in dana or sila or panya. Yeah. So yeah, so this is just little bit I want to say. Thank you.
So I think what Haji is saying is trying to remind us all is that if it's not dana, sila, or bhavana, then it's not awareness. So not just crossing the road, even when we're concentrating and trying to be aware of breath and all that, I think it's good to know that that's
Even
not
right
awareness.
now. And it's the same with concentration, ekagata. If it's not dana or kindness or sila or understanding, it's akusala concentration. So now we're talking about concentration. Yeah. So most of the time. So without the understanding of what true calmness is, what is kusala, what is akusala, there cannot be the development of samatha bhavana. When one would like to develop calmness, or when one has a goal to practice jhanas, I think that was your wording before, or attain jhana, it's akusala thinking, akusala concentration, because it's I wanting to get a result for me. So it's not the development of samatha bhavana at all. It's a fantasy about jhana, just dreaming about jhana and having this special experience, but not understanding the basics of what calmness is now, what is kusala ekagata now, what is awareness now.
And Carmen, on the previous topic, I was wondering when you were referring to conventional understanding or thinking conventionally, did you in mind have meant intellectual understanding or what? When you were talking about earlier that when Achan talks about seeing, if how are we supposed to think about it conventionally? Did you by that did you mean intellectually or what?
Sukin, I think Ajan's waiting to speak now.
To me, I don't cling to the word like jhana, the meaning of it or the reality of it, but I would like to have a little more understanding of the nature of what is there as it is. No one, it is citta or citasika or rupa. So when we talk about ekakata citasika, one-pointedness, the reality arising with all kinds of citta. So even seeing is the ekakata citasika. See, just that. But when it's more and more concentration, ekakata fixed on just one object, never change. That's why the characteristic of samadhi begins to be known little by little. For example, while you are doing something and someone come and try to talk to you, but at that moment, no attention to the other things, only that which you are doing. That is concentration, little by little, to understand that it arises with all kinds of citta, even seeing. See, who knows that it's ekakata citasika? That's why when it appears different, like at moment you are doing something intentionally just to finish it and so on, it's there to be known. But there are other realities too. That's why we learn about cetasikas and citta. They can be kusala or akusala or kiriya or what. Learn little by little to understand, to let go the idea of I see, which is so very deeply accumulated, very subtle too. Even right now, ignorance is there and cling instantly to the seeing, unknown. And ekakata is there as well. So learn to understand different levels of ekakata.
But let's say, not an I, but
It doesn't matter.
this whatever, has gained or accumulated lots of ekagata and a lot of panya and wisdom and wholesome qualities, and then all of a sudden I can reach a jhana?
No.
How does it work then?
Of course, it's with any stage of understanding or kusala, there's the moment before the stage is reached, when it's not that stage, and then the next moment when it is that stage. So, of course, it happens in an instant, but it only happens if the right conditions are there, if it has been developed gradually.
What is it has developed?
The kusala citta.
And it's panya. I mean, when we talk about bhavana, there's vipassana bhavana and samatha bhavana.
Sukin,
So it's
Jonathan's
still
in the middle of
panya.
speaking. Can you just pause because Jonathan's in the middle of speaking?
Yes, the jhana citta is preceded by the development of samatha to a very high degree. That's a kind of kusala. That is kusala citta. Yes. So there is a moment when jhana hasn't been attained, and then the next moment it has. But not until mundane kusala has been developed and the understanding that goes with it, the bhavana, that is samatha bhavana, accompanied by understanding, has been fully developed. Does that answer your question?
So right understanding develops jhana, or the idea of I develops jhana. Understanding of what, in order to have that jhana
Understanding the truth.
of so many truths.
Yeah, no. Many truths.
So at moment of jhana, there's no seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Why and how? Seeing the danger of seeing, hearing, smelling, touching. Otherwise, no development of jhana.
Can you say that again?
At moment of seeing, who knows, there are kilesa. And those who see the danger of seeing, that it conditions kilesa. See the danger of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. So what about moment of understanding what is there as the object to condition calm?
So there's a parallel in the development of insight and the attainment of enlightenment. Insight is the understanding of the true nature of a reality now appearing. And that understanding develops further and further until it is sufficient to condition the path consciousness, enlightenment. So just a parallel example of gradual development, conditioning, the breakthrough to, in one instance, jhana, and the other instance, enlightenment.
And is there calm as well? And is there calm as well at that moment?
Yes.
Which is better?
The understanding.
Right. That's why most people do not develop calmness, because it can be a moment of developing, understanding the nature of what is there. Even in the Buddha's time.
And the comment Ajahn made earlier, which I think you didn't follow, was she mentioned, like now, does one see the danger of seeing now, hearing now, smelling, tasting, touching?
Most of the time not.
No, because it is because of the seeing and hearing that the defilements arise, the clinging arises, the attachment arises. So those who have developed calm, samatha bhavana, have understood the danger of seeing and hearing, of sense door experiences.
So what most people say, what I understood from other people, not from here, is that in a jhana you block the senses, and that's what. And here you basically say because of the panya you understand it, and that is why it's not there. Okay, good. Thank you. That's helpful.
You to block or do anything.
But it's conventional speaking. Yeah.
Usually it's conventional speaking with wrong understanding. It's the idea that I stop having those experiences,
Yes.
which
And
is
so-
the wrong understanding.
But that's how they told me.
And we can see how the false idea of having jhana can be, because they have the idea they can block sense door experiences. And that's what they've been told, and that's what they've been practicing, and that's what they've attained. But it's not kusala.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful.
So back to sati, it's the function of sati to guard
The sense doors.
from what is seen, the clinging to what is seen, the clinging to what is heard. But the sati has to only arise with kusala citas, as we've been discussing, through understanding the danger of that clinging and the arising of sense door experiences. And as Ajahn and Jonathan was saying, what is far more precious is the development of calm with the understanding of realities as anatta. Only this is the right path. The development of jhanas is not the right path,
Yeah.
because it's not the letting go of the wrong understanding of I and my experiences.
Yes. Thank you.
Sukin, do you want to come in?
Anyone else at home have anything, any question they want to bring up? Okay, back to Lucy. So, Lucy, anyone who has any experiences now? Anyone who can meet angels or the divine, or who can do anything at all now, or who can be guided?
Because just now we mentioned stuff like engaging with the invisible. Was that what you were saying? Like engaging with the invisible?
No, doesn't sound like anything I said as far as I
Did you
recall.
mention anything about the invisible just now? No.
Maybe the visible, seeing now, sees what is visible,
Something along that line.
can only see what is visible. It cannot see a visible object or a color that doesn't appear, so it sees what is visible. So seeing cannot see angels or dreams or people, because those are not realities. It can only see the color, the light, the visible object that appears now.
Oh my gosh, I'm asking this question, and it may sound like it's a little bit far-fetched, but what about the people who have experienced near-death experiences? What about all the other planes that a survey, the book talks about, and also a path of purification talks about as well? Like, what's the purpose of understanding that there are other planes other than this human plane if there is this ultimate reality, you know?
They were explained by the Buddha, part of what he taught. So that's why they're included in the book. But it doesn't mean that they are of particular interest as far as the development of understanding goes at the present moment. They're also there because one may have all sorts of weird ideas about the cosmos, and one may think certain things are possible or not possible. And so the Buddha has given his explanation of what is the cosmos in terms of different planes of existence, for example. That's it. But obviously, in terms of the development of understanding, they don't have a particular role. So it's necessary to distinguish between what is appropriate, what is relevant to developing the path, and what is there because it's part of the overall picture.
If we're talking about hearing now, is the hearing as a human any different from the hearing as an animal, or the hearing of an insect, or the hearing in a deva realm?
Hearing is hearing.
Hearing is just hearing. Very good answer. Please repeat it on.
Hearing is just hearing.
Yes, and sound that is heard is just sound. So the dhammas are just the same. Anger is just anger, no matter it's a dog's anger or our anger, it's just anger, just a Dhamma. Clinging is just clinging. Calmness is just calmness. It may be in some realms there are more conditions for more anger and more ignorance, and in other realms more conditions for more calmness, but the reality is just the same.
Very simple question. Is there any understanding of what is there right now?
Well, I only have the understanding of what I perceive, I guess, what my consciousness understands, what I could see, what I can hear at this moment, here and now.
So is there any understanding of seeing right now?
Yeah.
What is it?
Whatever that I could directly experience.
What is it, the understanding of seeing right now? What is the nature of seeing? Is it real?
True.
It's real.
Yeah.
Is it you?
Is it me? I don't know. It's me, yeah.
So it's you.
Yeah.
Seeing is you, or you see.
I see.
I see.
Yeah.
When there's no seeing, is there I?
When there's no seeing, no.
No I. Really?
When there's no seeing, I'm still here, yeah.
When there is the understanding of seeing, it begins to understand that seeing is seeing. It's a reality. No I, no one, no thing at all. It's only just a moment of seeing. So each word should be studied, considered, remembered firmly. There's no one at all at moment of seeing. Seeing sees. What is real? Seeing is real. What is seen is real. Isn't it? But there are different realities. So, what is seen now?
What is seeing now?
Yes,
I'm seeing you holding something
really,
or touching something, feeling something.
really, at moment of seeing.
No, just that action, the moment
So
of
we
seeing.
talk about a moment of seeing. Is it real, a moment of seeing?
Yeah.
And what is real at moment of seeing? And
Just like
this
that.
is the understanding. Otherwise, what about practice or meditation? Impossible. To be truthful to the truth. Satya Barami. Be true to the truth.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just stop the Zoom. So thank you everyone, those at home. And tomorrow we have morning and afternoon session, 10:30 and at 1:30. So please join us tomorrow. And put your hand up or make it clear if you have anything you want to bring up.
So begin to know who's the Buddha from his word. Does anyone talk about seeing as what you just heard? Concentrate on it, understand it, be aware of it. No understanding at all. no understanding of awareness, no understanding of the word which represents each reality.
What about at the moment of hearing? At the moment of hearing, is there anyone who hears? And what is I? What is I that hears?
My consciousness. My consciousness
Your consciousness.
or consciousness.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
So the hearing hears, the hearing consciousness hears. What is the I that hears?
It's an understanding or like interpretation.
So actually, it's just the hearing consciousness which hears. Thinking afterwards thinks, I hear.
Yes.
But actually, at the moment of hearing, it's just the hearing consciousness itself which hears. And what does it hear?
Just whatever words. What does it hear?
What does the hearing hear now? Are you sure the hearing hears words?
Sound.
Sound.
Oh,
Just
okay.
sound. And then
wow. Okay.
just sound. And then again, the interpretation of many, many sounds thinks about different words, different meanings, different ideas. So it's the same with seeing. The seeing sees, and what is seen is just what is visible. And then the interpretation and thinking, because of memory, thinks about Ajahn moving her hand and so on. So we come back again and again to what is Dhamma now. To let go the idea of I that experiences and something like Ajahn moving the hand, that is, or the word, just to understand what are Dhammas. And you said that even when there isn't hearing, there's still I. So what is this I that is always there?
I made it up.
Right, just thinking about the imaginary I, yeah. So, yeah, so that's the thinking, thinks about all kinds of ideas and makes up all sorts of dreams and fantasies about angels and peoples and I. When there's the idea of I, there's the idea of other beings too, about divine and angels and people out there, all because of the idea of I.
Are we trying to stay on topic here? Is that why we're not like really touching on the other planes and stuff? That kind of, or deities or divas? That's mentioned in a survey, the book. Like, I mean, why are they there? Like, they're there, you know?
They are in the suttas taught by the Buddha, but usually as an interchange between them and the Buddha. So there's a point of Dhamma involved in the exchange, which is for the benefit of everyone. So whether the Buddha has a conversation with a human being or with a deva, he's teaching Dhamma. So it's recorded.
And we say that when there is no understanding, we just talk about that which not being understood at all. For example, the plane, what is it? Each word is real, but no understanding of what it is as a reality. What do you mean by plane?
That's what I'm trying to understand myself, you know? Like, I mean, I'm reading these things in these books, right? And I'm just like, okay, so what does it have to do with this reality? Like my reality, you know? I'm trying to
What
understand
sort of books are you reading?
a survey.
So who's your best friend? To just talk about the truth, to be understood. The best friend. You know who?
Who's my best friend? Myself. Did you want me to say the Buddha?
Why not? Oh, why would that? See, there must be reason. Tomorrow we'll continue at 10? 10 or 10:30? 10:30. Okay.
That's what the struggle is, not or one of many, but is the attachment to the self. The self is whole.